Question number 9, Gareth Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by his statement that, quote, it makes no sense to be calling for emissions reductions on one hand while subsidising emissions on the other?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, and I'll give the same reply I gave to the same question just the other day. Yes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
If the government is serious about reducing fossil fuel funding, why did it give $850,000 of taxpayers' money to fund an oil conference at Sky City?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, one of the differences between us and the Greens is that the Greens regard petrol, diesel and aviation fuel as evil. We regard them as a normal part of civilised society. Despite our admiration for the usefulness of fossil fuels in shaping modern life, we still campaign against large-scale subsidies on fossil fuels, and we're getting international support for that campaign, because if all countries eliminated their subsidies at the pump for fossil fuels, carbon emissions would drop by around 12%.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
If it wasn't a subsidy, what was the $250,000 of public money his government spent on wining and dining 11 oil executives from Shell, Anadarko and Chevron?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd have to check the members' numbers, but it is the business of this government, as it is in most developed countries, to host business owners and operators, to sell to those owners and operators the opportunities available in the country. It's called attracting investment, and when you attract investment, you enable new jobs. And in fact, without that kind of investment, unemployment levels would be much higher than they already are. So the government, whatever the cost of entertaining some of those offshore business owners or operators, the government certainly doesn't apologise for the fact that it does cultivate interest and investment opportunities in New Zealand, including in oil and gas.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
As the world in Paris tries to keep fossil fuels in the ground, can he explain why his government is opening up a massive 500,000 square kilometres of New Zealand's waters for fossil fuel exploration?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the thing that's keeping fossil fuels in the ground isn't the Paris conference, it's the very low price of oil, gas and coal. That's what's keeping it in the ground, and much more. The market's doing a much better job than the Greens ever did. And I'll believe the Greens' views on fossil fuels when they stop flying and driving to climate change conferences.
Supplementary question, Gareth Hughes.
How can he look at New Zealanders with a straight face and say he's serious about climate change when his government's giving oil drillers tax breaks, providing the oil industry with taxpayer-funded research, funding petroleum action plans but not clean energy action plans, appointing people with links to the oil industry to the EPA and ECA boards, hosting and sponsoring oil conferences and opening more of New Zealand to oil drilling?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, look New Zealanders in the face with no problem whatsoever. It is pretty simple. We do not regard fossil fuels as evil. In fact, a bit of anecdotal evidence that a lot of people's lives rely on them at the moment, and probably for the foreseeable future that will be the case. The Greens think these things are evil and want to stop people using them. I don't know how they can look people in the face in New Zealand and say that they want their vote at the same time as they want to shut down their ability to fly, drive, have a job and run a business.
Question number 10, Clayton Mitchell.